One more NBA slate to close out the week, and this is going to be a little bit of a silly one. We got ourselves a 3-game NBA slate today. No Hornets are playing, basically. Q-tag on Joel Embiid. Damian Lillard's out. Got a lot to talk about here. We're going to do what we always do. We're going to look at my projections, compare them to the Stokastic, see what one of the industry leaders thinks. Going to check some ownership as well along the way. Going to hop to the world of Unabated, get some good prop bets, get some sim DFS lineups on Stokastic. It's going to be your must-plays for the NBA slate here on December 20th. Let's get into it. Snow coming down lightly here in the Philadelphia area. Hopefully, I don't know, hopefully it's snowing near you. I don't know. Do you want snow? If yes, hopefully get some snow. You don't want snow? I hope no snow. Also getting a sore throat, realized it through the 2 hours of NFL streams did earlier today, but that won't stop me from cracking open the ceremonial Friday beer. Oh, there's that ASMR. You hear that hiss, you hear that pop. Now you know we're doing basketball content on a Friday. 3 games is easier to squirt through. That is true. Is this the only NBA fan stream? Yes, only NBA fans here. And I would like you to be removing articles of clothing as we go. Shout out Trip being here. Shout out Noel. Always appreciate his chats. Glad to see all you guys here. 10 minutes away from Lambo. Got 8 inches. I bet you got 6 inches. Sorry. I bet you only got 6 inches. Ha ha ha. No, that's more than enough snow. Honestly, less than I would have thought for that one. Told you Nance is optimal. I played Nance in my lineup. Honestly, it wasn't. David, you don't have the victory lap Larry Nance. That said, he was lower owned than I would have thought. I think more people across the projection industry caught up with the concern point of it. That's the point of the show, though. It's not to just feed you back chalk plays. That's sort of the whole thing. So I would say here, when I mentioned the no case for Larry Nance, that's in case he ends up being 40% owned. When he's 10% owned, you play the positive side. So ended up being okay. There you go, 8% in your contest. I'm proud of you. Let's talk about this slate, though. Let me take a sip of this because otherwise I'm not going to get it drank before I have to go pick up the kid. And as we all know, the goal is apparent. It's to show up lightly drunk here on a Friday. No, not really. 1 beer. Come on. Look how big this guy is. Big, strong man. I was talking to Steve. All right, fair enough, David. Fair enough. All right, your top plays right now. Giannis top projected play on the slate by about 13 fantasy points. It is incredibly easy to get him into lineups. He's projected to be 74% owned today because there is value everywhere. You have no LaMelo Ball, no Brandon Miller, no Mark Williams. That opens up a ton of value on the Hornets side. You might have some potential semi-value opening up for the Philadelphia side with Joel Embiid, who's questionable right now. Sixers are on him back-to-back. Today they play the Hornets. Tomorrow they play the Cavs. Joel Embiid, a known pussy. I'm just firing from the hip today. He might duck the Cavs matchup tomorrow, play the softer Hornets matchup today. That's Joel Embiid for you. Normally, though, you would think, the player will sit out the easy game. The game his team can easily win and just let the other guys do whatever for that game. They're going to beat Charlotte handily. They were a 11-point favorite before. They're now up to a 12.5-point favorite. They're a gigantic favorite. Joel Embiid really is a player that is a key one on the slate, but such an asshole. I think it's the main thing. Joel Embiid, though, less projected than Giannis. Giannis a pretty big gap away. You can afford both today. That's the other part of this. So Giannis is going to be easy to get in. I only got him in 61% of my sim lines because of how easy it is to get Giannis in. As a result, you can play some other things. You can do some pivots, all that. Yeah, I'm sure he can't feel his face. He's had his face has been broken so many times. Boy, but again, that's fine. He can't feel his face, then don't play today and play tomorrow. If you can't feel your face, you don't play today and you skip the fucking harder game against the Cavs. But we'll see what he does. That's how it goes. Embiid probably lives near you. He probably lives on the Jersey side, I would think. And the daycare teachers, those teachers are it's all ladies at our daycare, which, I mean, positive, I would think. Nobody wants men raising your kids. But none of them seem like a good time, I have to say. So I think we're good. But that said, SGA 49 fantasy points for him, 49.9. Did point out SGA on the Stokastic stream yesterday. I think I said the same thing on this stream as well. SGA coming off the NBA Cup. And it's so stupid. Somebody in the Stokastic chat yesterday was like, NBA Cup's over. Yeah, no fucking shit. The Thunder embarrassed themselves in the NBA Cup finals after they're a team that's supposed to be competing for a championship. And they got smoked by the Bucks in that title game. Came out swinging against Orlando yesterday. SGA in particular, I think he'd missed 1 shot in the first half, just went absolutely nuts. It was a slate where a bunch of guys went nuts, so it didn't matter. But SGA, I think, probably got out of the system. Back to normal for SGA today. 49 fantasy points looks good. He's your pivot point to Giannis. The matchup for them, for the Thunder, going against Miami, theoretically competitive spot. Another night overnight in Orlando and Florida, rather. The boys go out in Miami after they had their big win in Orlando. I don't know how that goes for these guys as NBA players. That said, for SGA, not a priority play for me, but you're getting so much Giannis. You get some SGA as a pivot. Field to be at 18%. I got 20. That feels fine. Huge pussy Joel Embiid, 36% ownership. Am I just going to make, every time there's a Philly player in each sport, I make enemies of Saquon Barkley fans. I'll make fans of Embiid, enemies of Embiid fans here. I think for Embiid, okay play overall. You have to give him the previous rates from last season to make him look like a viable enough play. That said, I wrote it up for Unabated's article on DraftKings Network today. Since basically the locker room tirade, Joel Embiid has had 40% usage. I think trying to remember now, 35% assist rate, something like that. Basically, his rates are back to where they were last year anyway, a little bit better than that. For Joel Embiid, really not fun to play him. He just gets hurt all the time. There's a chance here he plays limited minutes because Charlotte is so hapless right now. There's also a chance he just stat pads against the team because, like, if he does go tonight, Charlotte's going to be really inept. They have Nick Richards. They don't have Mark Williams. They don't have, Taj Gibson's not even in the rotation at this point. I think there's maybe some projected minutes for Diabate. Like, he should gobble up whoever they give him at center. So that's sort of the risk reward of Joel Embiid. How good of a shape is he in? Normally a guy with a facial injury, you'd expect him to come back for good conditioning. But Joel Embiid never has good conditioning anyway. So what is he coming back to? That's sort of your risk reward here. $9,500 price tag works well enough. Again, because of all the value on the slate, you can play him with SGA, you can play him with Giannis, still have a normal fleshed out lineup. So Embiid's fine, 36% for the field. I got him at 23. He's okay. Miles Bridges is my big stand here. Got him in 95% of my lineups. The big difference here is that I gave Miles Bridges rates based upon a very small sample size this year. Miles Bridges has played 100 possessions this year with no LaMelo Ball, no Brandon Miller on the court. In those 100 possessions, he's averaged 34% usage, a 14% rebound rate, 23% assist rate. You give him those rates, you're going to get a number like what I have here, which is a 44-point projection. You give him what he normally has, is going to be about 35.5. As exact projection when I didn't juice the rates at all. When I did juice the rates, obviously Bridges took a big leap up. The main thing for me with Bridges, and this is something, a little bit of ball knower thing, we'll see if it still holds true. Is this one coming up? But I think for Miles Bridges, like anytime there's been Hornets out in the past, he just goes, it's the Miles Bridges show. And he just fucking goes nuts. He puts up a ton of usage, puts up sometimes 60, 70 fantasy point days. If they somehow hang this game versus Philadelphia and they could still lose by 10 plus, and hang in for the most part, I think Bridges is going to be a big part of that no matter what. So for me with Miles Bridges, I think he's a stronger play. I have a much more highly projected. If you want to feel free to play it safe, default to the Stokastic projection here of 35.5, you can do that. He's still going to be a good play, still going to get into a lot of lineups. Again, he's going to be in 50%. But I'm going to go over the top on it today, I think. So Miles Bridges to me, with my projection, with these rates, again, that have occurred this year, with no LaMelo Ball and no Brandon Miller, he just looks like a different player. So Miles Bridges, we're going to take that shot today a good amount. He's in a lot of my lineups. Probably in a little bit less than the 20 maxes. I'll put in a certain amount of uniques, probably like 4 uniques, 3 uniques per lineup to make it into my lineup set tonight. But besides that, for Miles Bridges, I'm going to get him a lot. I'm definitely going to get him more than the field. I think he's good chalk. Tyrese Maxey, in terms of the projection, looks pretty good. Would definitely look a lot better if Embiid were out. At this point, you have no McCain. If you had no Embiid, it's just going to basically Paul George and Maxey looking like a pretty good 1-2 punch. Maxey here, though, as it is, under a 5x value, hard to get there. 7.9% for the field. I got 7. Isaiah Hartenstein, a man who I always have projected well again. I believe he was in the winning lineup last night. He was for at least a good portion of the slate. Quality center play at 7K salary. I think we were back under 7K yesterday. Now we're at 7K flat in terms of his DraftKings salary. So we're being price sensitive, whatever. But he's been playing well in the year. We've talked about Hartenstein enough. We'll see his per minute numbers a little bit, but I have it 53% compared to the field's 27. That's that stand. Let's go sort by value here. You'll see some other key plays relative to my projection set. Value, Z to A. Checking chats. Wise man once said he should gobble up whoever's at center pause. I mean, look, we're not talking about blowjobs. It's not always about blowjobs. And a whole lot of pussy ownership. Just Joel Embiid. I was so close to winning 5K last night. Only soft spot was Asus Thompson. Is that a third brother? I presume you mean the Detroit Thompson. But yeah, that wasn't good chalk yesterday. Max is so wishy-washy this year. It's not that he's more consistent last year. It's that you have Paul George in the mix now. When you have another dominant ball usage guy, and frankly McCain too when he was playing, that's what messes things up. For Maxey, like you get Joel Embiid out now, or to get Paul George out, you're going to get the exact same players you got last year. So I don't think that's the right way to view Maxey. It's all game of usage. That's why it talks so much about usage rates on the show, assist rate, like all that stuff. It just comes down to how many possessions per game are you getting? Who else in that rotation is going to take time away from you? It's going to take possessions away from you, shots away from you. That's the way to view basketball. You're all sharing one ball, and it's, everything kind of has a push-pull dynamic. The other players on the team, other players on the slate, etc. Yes, true. Anus Thompson and Ass Thompson. That's not Pussy Thompson, though. That's not a name. Vasily Micic. So you have no KJ Sampson. He's with the G League here. You do have Isaiah Wong as a pivot point. So Isaiah Wong, maybe an interesting tournament shot at 3,400. He's also projected decently enough here at 17.6 fantasy points for me. But Micic has produced about a 45% assist rate in court time without LaMelo, without Brandon Miller, and also without Trey Mann, because I wanted to really isolate when Micic is like the only point guard kind of doing things out there. Micic in that court time, it's been 130 possessions, averages 21% usage, 44% assist rate, about a 6% rebound rate. I think in the spot here for Micic, I hate the Micic chalk. I feel like it happens every Friday. There's Micic chalk. He's going to be 36% owned. I got him in 92% of lineups. There's just so much opportunity to go around for Charlotte. When you take out LaMelo Ball's usage, you take out Brandon Miller's usage. I do expect Bridges to kind of soak up a lot, but there's another guy there who can get going. Could be Seth Curry, could be Micic, could be, honestly, I don't even know who else would be besides those guys. Could be Isaiah Wong as a backup, but really there's somebody else that can do more here. So Micic, I think, looks pretty strong to me. I'm a 30.7 projection compared to 26.9. Miles Bridges, talked about him already. Nick Richards coming up as a decent value as well. Getting him in about half my lineups compared to 15% for the field. There's no Mark Williams there. Mark Williams has been a demon this year. You're going to give some center minutes away to Moussa Diabate, which is fine. But would say for Bridges, for Richards, good enough play here. Not in the tier of Bridges, not in the tier of Micic for me, but still getting in a lot of lineups here as sort of a mid-dollar guy. And frankly, he has crushed against Philadelphia before. If Embiid's in, a little bit tougher to expect that. But I think one of the 2 games ago when they played Philadelphia, I believe he went nuts in that game for like 50 fantasy points. Not a box score watcher, so don't misquote me on that. But I think for Nick Richards, I think a strong play in this spot at center at 5,100. Seth Curry's the 3K minimum. He's projected to get 28 minutes. Has not been playing very well on the year. The field will be there 72%. I got him 50%. Getting a nice little split here, I think, of the Hornets guys, and also making my big stand on Micic. Lower stand on Curry. I can live with it. That said, there's a general rule of thumb for DFS. You have a 3K minimum salary guy. He's not really going to hurt you that much. The issue is we have a couple of 3K minimum guys or guys around that price point. So I don't think Seth Curry's a must-have, but he's an okay play for sure. Again, as a 3K minimum guy. Isaiah Hartenstein, talked about him. Giannis, despite his high price tag, one of the best values on the slate. Delon Wright expected to be starting here with Damian Lillard out. He's been awful this year. He's not been the old Delon Wright. His rates so far this season, 10% usage, 6% rebound rate, 12.8% assist rate, good for 0.57 fantasy points per minute. Just dreadful so far, but you give him a 25-minute projection, he's 3K. Really, if you want to just play 3K guys, play Delon Wright, play Seth Curry, have that be your value. They're both going to be likely starters. They're both going to be playing theoretically starter minutes. Both should close, assuming the games are competitive, which who knows for the Hornets. But you have 2 3K guys who could play today, so keep that in mind. Wiggins' minutes a concern. Wonder if he got a bump just to give the others a blow off the cup. He's getting roughly the same amount of minutes for the most part. It's like teens to 20. I don't know. I'm not really concerned about it. I got him with the field. If he bombs the same way for me that he does for the field. So not really concerned. He's not as good of a value though. Like you have starters. You have Seth Curry who started last game. He's going to start and get more opportunity today, theoretically, unless he were to get ruled out somehow. Delon Wright, same thing, starting. Like it's a little hard to play Wiggins on a slate where you're getting these guys. But that said, I do have Wiggins better projected than them. So, maybe not fully congruent there. Do I think Giannis? Yes, Giannis is going to play. Why would he not play? He's not on the injury report. Yes, he'll play. Barring something weird. What else we got here? Nothing else to know. Let's go to the game by game view. We take a sip of beer. And guys, if you appreciate this content, again, show some love here. We're on that march to 500 subs right now, trying to get the first one. We'll look up the channel, monetize and all that. So please show some love. Subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. All your engagements go a long way for me here. I'm just one guy running 2 channels, driving myself into the ground, trying to give you the best information I can on a daily basis across 2 sports. It's a lot of information in my brain this time of year, but I'm doing the best I can. Check out our sponsors too. Underdog, $1,000 of bonus cash Of course, we'll show you guys some good pick'em lines later today using unabated data. Stokastic, 15% off their data, their tools, simulation stuff, their cheaper stuff as well, lineup generator, all of that, 15% off. And of course, Unabated ourselves, our primary sponsor here, $30 off on Unabated with the promo code SPLASH. Oh man, I earned this. All right, so Charlotte we talked about here, 100.5 implied points. Not a high-paced spot here, about a 97 possession pace, so nothing that crazy. Again, the key guys here, Bridges, Nick Richards, Micic, Seth Curry, as we talked about. Not Steph Curry. That guy was awful yesterday. You don't want to play him. Play Seth instead. Actually, that might be like one of the first times ever they've both been on a slate and Seth Curry outscored Steph, especially by that much. So, hey, shout Seth Curry here. But Seth Curry not playing well in the year, averaging 0.68 fantasy points a minute. I'm at 0.65 today. I didn't juke his rates at all because he hasn't seen enough court time to do that confidently. But you could give him a little bit more usage, bump him up to 20. He would look like a much better play. For Seth Curry, he's going to be really highly owned. 72% is a lot, but he has minimum salary, so I get it. He and, again, Delon Wright are your two minimum salary guys that open up everything, really. They just don't look like fantastic plays, but minimum salaries don't kill you, so you kind of have to keep that in mind. Appreciate that from Kiss here, worth the sub, and a kiss for you too. I appreciate that. Giannis can feel his face. That's true. Got to stand on Evan Mobley today. They'll need Jared Allen to cover Giannis. It just opens up. Maybe. That's flimsy, man. I don't see it, but if it works out for you, come back and tell me about it. That's the Hornets. I'll highlight again Isaiah Wong. Isaiah Wong has been producing pretty well in a small sample size. Good assist rate of 20%, good usage of 22%. Rebound rate 11, 53% true shooting, could get better, but he's been at about 0.94 fantasy points a minute. I'm at 0.99 today. If Micic were to fail for the umpteenth time to semi-chalk, it's probably because Isaiah Wong got more minutes and produced well. So I think Wong or Micic, I would say probably getting him in every lineup for me. For you guys, you certainly don't have to do that. And that's it for Charlotte side. You go take your shots on Josh Green, Cody Martin, those guys. But really, they don't really have defined roles. They kind of can fill it up a little bit. If the opportunity presents itself, they'll have the opportunity. But I'd rather play it that everything flows through Bridges, most things flow through Micic, and then Seth Curry's cheap, and that's basically it. Very nice chatting for Mike. Happy Friday, Merry Christmas, and healthy and prosperous. I hope so too. I hope I stop having sore throats in the new year. But yes, Merry Christmas to all you guys. I'll still be here throughout the holidays, so keep that in mind. Am I playing the $4.20 max? Yeah, I'll be doing that, and I'll put one entry in the big tournament. But that's usually my outlay when it isn't like a $5, $8 tournament. Then I'll put in more entries. But yeah, like for me, I just mini max stuff for me is not where I'm at this point. The amount of swapping you have to do for that stuff when I have to do fucking child bedtime for a kid now with a double ear infection is not my jam. So yeah, 20 max will be the move. Yeah, we'll pray on that tonight. Philadelphia side, Joel Embiid, the key status here, as we talked about, huge pussy, ducks matchups. There's a good shot he plays versus Charlotte and then sits out tomorrow versus Cleveland. That said, decent play here, 5x value, $9,500 salary. Because he's been playing well, as I mentioned, the rates looking a lot more stable since he did have that locker room browbeaten from his teammates and all that. 54% true shooting on the year, awful. 1.2 fantasy points per minute, not bad generally, but not good for Joel Embiid. That said, you give him the rates for all of that, got 1.5 fantasy points per minute today is what that's looking like. Thank you for the kind word. He's fine. It's not that deep, but I appreciate the sentiment. And yes, huge pussy Joel Embiid, and the hugest pussy many are saying. Thank you. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Embiid here. Again, if he goes today and doesn't go tomorrow, just please knock him down in your best player alive rankings accordingly. That I'm sure we all keep running as a list in our head. Tyrese Maxey will look a lot better if Embiid's out. If Embiid's in, I have 7%. Hard to get more. Paul George, 16% for me compared to 12. Again, would look a lot different if you get Embiid out. Both guys would look like much better plays. At the current price tags, though, I think Maxey and Paul George, not unplayable, but certainly not plays that are more than like a tournament amount here. You have 10 to 15% you're getting into sort of to get different in a lineup. Everything else here looks kind of bad. Oubre will look closer to playable if Embiid's out. Andre Drummond will look good again if Embiid's out. He did crush Charlotte earlier the last time they played. So for Drummond, they can okay play, but only if you get Embiid out. And still don't expect him to have the ceiling he's had in the past because he's not the same player anymore. Just doesn't get really as many shots up. He'll rebound like a demon, but he won't get shots up at all anymore, basically. No, he wouldn't have done that because it would have showed him getting shot and he wouldn't have like losing in such a public way. Yabusele would be more playable as well if Embiid were out. That's really it. I think Philadelphia kind of clearly defined. If Embiid's playing, Embiid's the play, and everybody else is passable at best. If Embiid's out, Maxey, Paul George, Oubre in next tier. Drummond looks better. It's sort of how that should go. Milwaukee, 106 implied points. Cleveland, 115 implied points. Giannis here, very easy to afford him today. That sort of makes Giannis a play that you kind of don't like as much. I am under the field on him naturally in my top 157 lineups. Basically, the point is like you're going to build enough good lines with Giannis Antetokounmpo. And to sim at a certain point, it's going to be like, you got enough of this guy. Try some other high dollar guys that could spike a similar upside, or multiple 9K guys, whatever the case. Embiid plus somebody else. So when you get Giannis at a certain point, like I don't know what getting to 100% Giannis will do you. He still should be really good here theoretically, as long as Milwaukee doesn't lose this game. Really got to put a lot of it on his back with no Damian Lillard out there. He gets the biggest usage bump overall in court time this year without Lillard on the court. He's averaging 1.75 fantasy points per minute. Today I'd have him at 1.74 when accounting for the matchup with Cleveland, but still giving him that rate boost to get him where he should be. Other guys here, really nobody above 1 fantasy point without Damian Lillard on the court. Bobby Portis averages 1.1. Brook Lopez averages 1.06, but a somewhat limited sample size of 302 possessions. Really, the Bucks don't look as good as you would think for not having Lillard in. At least for me, like I'm low on Portis, low on Middleton, a little bit high on AJ Green, a little bit low on Andre Jackson, low on Delon Wright. I might correct that, but he has been really awful. Probably due to shoot better at some point. But really the main thing is like, because you're getting Middleton back, it really does kind of depreciate the value of Milwaukee here. Middleton not getting enough minutes to trust either. 22 minutes of projection a day. There's not a whole lot looks good. Cleveland 115 on their side. Getting Evan Mobley 23%. So I guess I'm not totally opposed to what Power was saying before happening. Darius Garland getting 25%. Main thing here is you're getting Max Strus back in. As a result, these guys probably a little bit overpriced for just adding one more body in, playing about 20 minutes, who does produce in every category. Max Strus today projected for 18 minutes by Stokastic. Maybe gets a few more. Probably not, though. Cleveland, too, they don't really get into high 30s minutes too often, so that's the other thing. If you're going to kind of critique them for something, would think in the spot, Donovan Mitchell should be a more appealing play, but he doesn't project that well. I'll have him as a 4.6x value. Really, it's Mobley and Garland look the best for me. I do think there's tournament merits for Mitchell, for Jared Allen as well. Karis LeVert, I like less because of getting Strus back in, but $5,200 price tag for LeVert. He can spike at random upside. Playing pretty well in the year, 66% true shooting for Karis LeVert. Kind of shocking given how bad of a shooter he's been historically. But really, that's sort of it for Cleveland, I think. They're okay plays. I feel like I should like them more. There is a chance they can really kind of boat race Milwaukee in the spot without Lillard. Maybe Milwaukee sniffing their own farts a little bit after the NBA Cup, even though they didn't drink any champagne. Wow, so professional. Darvin Ham knows the most. But yeah, I think that's how I would view Cleveland right now. Is they're an okay team. Mobley and Garland appropriately priced for the situation. Allen and Mitchell, more of a tournament option to me, but they'll be decently owned. Do we trust LeVert again? No, I wouldn't. When you're getting Strus back in, that's going to greatly impact his minutes. Even with the Coro out, that's not a good thing for him to get Strus back in. Oklahoma City, 109.5 implied points. Miami, 108 implied points. Another game here, a pretty competitive total, 1.5 point spread favoring the Thunder, who should be the better team. The real question in this game to me, and I try to go side by side usually, Jimmy Butler with what he did last time out versus Detroit. Like, I don't know what the deal was there. He has not played that hard since like the Heat were in the NBA Finals. So if that were the case, if you're to do that again, you'd want to be there more. I'm naturally getting 23%. Again, just trying to get different from that Giannis exposure. So I'm okay with the amount of Butler I have. But if you want to chase that game, it wouldn't be crazy because Butler was playing like he was really fired up about something. There was one game, maybe he just goes back to the usual Jimmy Butler thing. I think that'd be the expectation. But on this slate, you have a pretty highly owned Bam Adebayo, pretty highly owned Tyler Hero. I'm with the field on Hero, a little bit lower on Adebayo. For Jimmy Butler, I think trying to get at least with those guys close to the ownership there, there's some chance that Jimmy Butler is, I don't know, showing off for his own trade possibilities. I don't know what the deal is, but that game versus Detroit was really weird, man. He rebounded so aggressively, grabbed every shot, put up a ton of usage, was back to assisting. Like, he looked like the best version of Jimmy Butler, which he has not been this year. I mean, the rates are down, averaging 1.1 fantasy points a minute. That's it. What am I drinking? My usual standard here, a Victory Golden Monkey. My what is it? Technically let mystical fruit and spice-filled flavors of Golden Monkey enlighten your senses. Banana and clove character from Belgian yeast meets notes of orange and a light earthy hop character to craft a Belgian-style triple that'll do you good. So there we go. That's the ad read for, can Golden Monkey pay me for every stream? That'd be the dream. That does not even matter a little bit. That's so irrelevant. I mean, no disrespect, that shit doesn't matter. It's totally different situations. Totally it's new player, new team. He's got 34% usage, 31% assist rate. If he fails tonight, doesn't get there, it's because it's on a back-to-back, but it's not because of any historical things. The Heat are a different team who will also play as much worse defense than they have any other point in their time. Anyway, for Oklahoma City here, SGA getting him 20%. Really, please don't look into whatever he's done versus Miami in the past. That's not a thing. Jalen Williams, take that out of your process entirely if you can. It's just literally will never help you. It's never a big enough sample size. It doesn't matter because teams change, coaches change, rosters change. Everything about the situation changes. So please, not trying to be rude, but legit, those are flaws in a process if you're worrying about stuff like that. Jalen Williams, 21% ownership for me compared to 22% for the oh, okay, that's why it matters. Spo is SGA's stepfather, yes. No, it still wouldn't matter. 22% for Jalen Williams, 21% for me. Again, getting good amounts of the Thunder guys. Hartenstein, always a big stand for me. You guys know if you watch the stream, getting about double the exposure there, 53% compared to 27. It's been a 1.19 fantasy point minute guy. I'm at 1.3 today, which feels a little bit aggressive, but whatever. Projections are projections. Aaron Wiggins, semi-value here, 3,100. Been producing at about a 0.9 fantasy point minute pace on the air. He's not as good of a value play as your Delon Wrights, as your Seth Curry's because of the minutes. In fact, those guys should be starters. But Wiggins, a low-owned pivot, even though he's still going to be 30% owned, he fills out the small forward, power forward spot. If you're not playing the guard value, you play a value somewhere else and hope it gets to a similar range. Aaron Wiggins is that guy, unfortunately, even though he's really nothing special. And that's the Thunder for you. Really, the Hartenstein stands a big thing for me. Miami, we're getting Bam Adebayo. Talked about him under the field, up on the field on Jimmy Butler, about 2x on him. Tyler Hero, basically with the field, 31% for them compared to 29% for me. Rozier, I am low on. He's just been awful on the year. Minutes are down. Again, Drew Smith, the guy who's been taking minutes away from regularly. Now it seems to have stabilized a little bit, but still really low price tag for Rozier, but low usage for him. Low assist rate, shooting terribly, 0.79 fantasy points a minute. Terry Rozier, he hit the wall remarkably fast, really, really fast. Duncan Robinson, though honestly, if he went somewhere and got more usage, he'd probably be a better player. Duncan Robinson, nothing special here, 5%-ish ownership. Hawkes, same thing. Kevin Love, I got 1%. Just trying to get unique on a 3-game slate. You'll get these guys, but really the core plays, Adebayo, Butler, and Hero, and I really specifically like Butler and Hero. Adebayo, fine, especially if Jimmy doesn't go rebound crazy. That's where Adebayo has more upside. But it is the 4:30 mark, guys. We're going to go to the world of Unabated, make some good time today, make some things count. I'm going to show you this video, and maybe I won't even talk over it. Let's see. No, I have to talk over it. You got expert NBA projections. Look at all this data. I'm taking off my hoodie, too, because it keeps getting hot in here. All me talking. I'm getting so warmed up. You're going to see less clothes on me. We're done this video. Initial NBA projections, players in, players out. I did that today for Joel Embiid. Wrote it up. Great EV on some of the DraftKings sportsbooks markets. If you get Joel Embiid out for guys like Tyrese Maxey and Paul George. Also, the prop line price, if you know what's coming up next. You want to see this graph? Look at this big old turgid graph. Oh, look at that. Ooh, that's 6 inches of graph for you right there. Maybe even 8 inches. Community. All the community you want on the Discord. Unabated community. One of the sharper ones out there, I'll tell you that. They're not going to ask you about the last 5 games of DVP. Count your money. Unabated for you. Again, you want to get sharp data. People that are honestly spending a lot more money than you or I are on a given tournament, a given slate. That's sort of what you're going to get at Unabated. So you're going to be in good hands there. Check it out for yourself. And I probably should have been trying to log in during this time period. But that's the tough part. When I have to do the voiceover, I can't really get the tab going the way I'm supposed to. And I know if I don't log myself out now, it's going to log me out. So let me log out and just get back in. If you go to Unabated, use that promo code SPLASH. You'll get it for $30 off their monthly packages. And let's see what we've got today in the betting markets. Larson and Jovic might be back. Heat's bench, also terrible to roster. That is true. You know, this is legit, the kettle drums. That's true. The kettle drums are a really powerful thing. Steel drums, I would also like as well, but they don't have those. All right, NBA props. What we're going to do here is going to go through the points, the rebounds, assist props. Of course, we will hop the Stokastic after this, build some DFS lineups. So hopefully you guys will have some real actionable plays to go off of here. Let's make sure we are on the unabated projections. Let's leave out Embiid. Let's roll in Strus because I think Strus is going to go. He's very due to go. And let's go to points. We're going to sim this out. Basically, what it's doing is simming off of the projections and standard deviation 10,000 times to find out where your EV is for every bet. It looks like we're going to get a bunch of them. Generally, the rule of thumb for me would be over an 8% EV of sim EV is what you want to get. Unabated says over 5% is also fine, so you could dig a little bit deeper than I do on stream sometimes. All right, we got Dean Wade under 6.5 points. That one's good on PrizePicks right now. Looks not playable anywhere else, but 18.8% EV for Dean Wade under 6.5 points, assuming that Max Strus does play today, which I do think he will. Alex Caruso, 17.6% EV. No Q tags here to worry about. So this one's good to go. Under 6.5 points at -118 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. You also get that same 17.6% EV on PrizePicks and Underdog. Not bettable on DraftKings Sportsbook, though. That's Alex Caruso under 6.5 points. Karis LeVert under 11.5 points. Again, assuming Strus is in. Minutes get squeezed for guys like LeVert on the wing. 14% EV on not on PrizePicks, just on Underdog for Karis LeVert under 11.5. Looks like that's also bettable under 11.5 on DK Sportsbook at -125. And on FanDuel Sportsbook, you could also bet LeVert at +104 odds there under 10.5, and that would look good. For Karis LeVert, that is. George Niang, 14% EV on under 8.5 points. That's -130 odds on DK Sportsbook. Playable as well on PrizePicks where it's under 8 points. You're getting 12.9% EV on there. Again, assuming that we do get Max Strus going. Delon Wright under 5.5 points. -105 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook for Delon Wright under 5.5 points. Gets you 13.9% EV. Donovan Mitchell under 23.5 points. +100 odds. Gets you 13.4% EV on FanDuel Sportsbook. Also bettable on PrizePicks. Donovan Mitchell under 24 points. Gets you 10.3% EV on PrizePicks. So Mitchell under 23.5 on FanDuel. Under 24 on PrizePicks. Darius Garland, 13.3% EV for under 20.5 points. That's at -108 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. Also good on PrizePicks and Underdog. Under 20.5 points for both those sites. Gets you 8.7% EV. And you can play it on DK Sportsbook too with slightly less favorable odds. Under 20.5 points for Darius Garland at -115 odds. That gets you 10% EV. Rebounds up next. There are more markets here as well. So if you want to get the data for yourself, check it out. Link in the description to Unabated. You can also go to unabated.com/NBA, check out more details, and then use that promo code SPLASH to get $30 off. All right, let's pull in all the lines here. Bam Adebayo under 10.5 rebounds. If you take it at +110 odds, you're getting 11.9% EV. That one's on DK Sportsbook. Looks like you could also bet it on PrizePicks under 11 rebounds there. Gets you 9% EV. And cusp playable on FanDuel here. It's fine enough. Under 11.5 rebounds, -140 odds on FanDuel for Bam Adebayo. Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert, 10.7% EV from over 2.5 rebounds, -145 odds. Again, assuming that Strus goes. If Strus are out, though, this will look like an even better bet, so you can take this either way. Karis LeVert, over 2.5 rebounds, -145 odds, 10.7% EV. SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 10% EV on over 5.5 rebounds at +132 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. Not bettable anywhere else, so play it only on FanDuel. SGA over 5.5 rebounds at +132. Lou Dort, 9.7% EV for over 4.5 rebounds. That's at +126 on FanDuel Sportsbook. Not good enough on DK. Close to playable on PrizePicks, over 4 rebounds for Lou Dort tonight, over 4 rebounds. But over 4.5 on FanDuel looks the best. George Niang under 3.5 on PrizePicks. Again, assuming that Strus goes, it'll lose a few more minutes. 8.7% EV on PrizePicks. Close to playable on DK Sportsbook. Under 3.5 at -120 for George Niang on there. Darius Garland, 8.3% EV, over 2.5 rebounds, +105 odds on DK Sportsbook. And that's the only place you want to take that. And this Duncan Robinson line, close to playable, under 2.5 rebounds at -120 on DK Sportsbook. That's 7.6% EV, close enough to 8 if you really want to get a bet in. Volume for betting, especially market-based, sim-based betting, really the most important thing you do for yourself. Get in more bets if you can, even if it's a lower unit price. Really important thing to know about this stuff. All right. We're simming. Donovan Mitchell under 4.5 assists, +106 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook looks like the best bet. You still could play Donovan Mitchell under 4.5 assists at -105 odds on DK Sportsbook. Gets you 10.7% EV for Donovan Mitchell under 4.5 assists on FanDuel and DraftKings. Again, DFS Sims coming up in a moment, guys. If you're tuning in for that, stay tuned. Vasily Micic, 15.6% EV, over 6 assists. So a little bit of support here for all unabated projections here on my boy Micic that I'm going to have way too much of in DFS. PrizePicks is like the best one there for that over 6 assists, and it is not playable on DK, but is good on FanDuel. 13.9% EV, over 6.5 assists, plus 112 odds on there. Karis LeVert under 4.5 assists, assuming that we do get Strus out, or Strus in rather, which should be the case. You're getting 14% EV for under 4.5 assists on PrizePicks, not playable on the other books. Taurean Prince, 9.3% EV on under 1.5 assists. That one's good for an Underdog pick'em right now and a PrizePicks pick'em. It is not available though on FanDuel or DK. Bam Adebayo, 9% EV on over 4.5 assists on PrizePicks. Good to go on there for Bam Adebayo over 4.5. You don't want it on DK. You could play it on FanDuel. It's close enough. Over 4.5 at minus 122, 7.4% EV. Miles Bridges, his over here. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. Over 3.5 assists for Miles Bridges, plus 138 on FanDuel. Gets you 8.2% EV. You probably don't want it anywhere else. It's not available on the pick'em sites. Last but not least, our PRAs before we head to the world of DFS Sims. And of course, check out Unabated for the big slates, especially. You'll find so many bets, and that is the goal. Put in 100 bets at $1 each. You're going to start to notice appreciable differences in your bankroll for the better. And no pun intended, but that's legitimately what will happen for you if you do kind of follow the guidelines here, get more volume in, and follow the data. People out there are using this data to wager tens of thousands of dollars at a given night, sometimes $100,000 based on some people out there. They swear by it because this is premium and not used by a ton of people relative to the world. So really important to use Unabated in the way it's intended here. Use those projections, build up your bankroll, especially if you're playing DFS and best ball and stuff. You need to bet to kind of keep that afloat. Donovan Mitchell under 33.5 PRAs gets you 11.6% EV. Again, assuming that we do get Max Strus in, but it does look like that's going to be the case. PrizePicks, you have 9.3% EV on under 33.5 for Donovan Mitchell. Same thing for Underdog, playable on those sites, not playable on DK Sportsbook. But Donovan Mitchell under 33.5 PRAs looks good. George Niang under 12.5, again, assuming that Strus is in. That one's playable on Underdog and PrizePicks, 11.1% EV. You don't get it on FanDuel and DK. Bobby Portis, 10% EV on over 21.5 PRAs. That is playable right now on Underdog. Not so much on PrizePicks, not on DK or FanDuel. And lastly here, you could round this one up. Alex Caruso to add to a PrizePicks pick'em under 11 PRAs. That gets you 7.8% EV. You can't play that one on Underdog because they marked it up, and it's not on DK and FanDuel. But again, check out Unabated, 3-game slate. So this is a little bit faster than usual. Of course, you can also rule guys in. If you think Joel Embiid is a big pussy and going to play, you then sim out all the Sixers lines with Embiid in. If you think Joel Embiid's a big pussy and not going to play because he's so afraid of Nick Richards, you can take him out, send the lineups that way. That's the power of these conditional projections. You see them loading underneath me right now on the screen. That's sort of what you're getting here. You could play it how you want to, and really in particular, if injuries break fast, you get the news, you can make it work quickly. So roll in or out, you're big pussies all you please, and Unabated. That's a new marketing thing. The hugest pussy, many are saying, Joel. It's part of Unabated's marketing. They're like, call Joel Embiid a pussy more. It's going to get people talking. All right. Let's go over here. You know who's less of a pussy than Joel Embiid? Ben Simmons. At least he came back and played in Philly. He did. Now he's done it a couple times. I was there for one of them. He went hard. That's true. It's a very lengthy pussy for Joel Embiid. And we're going to go to Stokastic next. Do check out Unabated, though. $30 off, unabated.com/NBA. Use the promo code SPLASH. And Stokastic right now, 15% off here. Not best ball overlay. Stokastic, 15% off. Promo code SPLASH on there. Again, great tools, great data, and it does support the show directly. I get affiliate fees when you guys sign up. So show some love if you can, even if you just want to save some money and you don't care about the show, which would be kind of weird, but I'll take it. I don't care. And this sim, by the way, will not have my projections involved, just Stokastic data. So you're seeing more just industry standard stuff as opposed to my whimsy and wonder that you get here with my usual projections. The Fantasia of NBA projections is what I call it. Over under on Spags calling people a pussy. To be clear, it's only Joel Embiid. I honestly don't think I've called anybody else a pussy on a stream before. Really? Oh, okay. Now we're just talking dirty. But honestly, it's just to be like, it really does bother me that he ducks tough matchups. Like, it's bullshit. Like, this is what, if you're a player, and I get it, like, I'm not a professional athlete, but like, you know, for me, if there are some things I do at a competitive level one thing I do, and this is really a fucking dorky thing. Well, DFS, that's one. I play in the highest dollar tournaments. I play in the stuff like that's going to win money. But like I play Overwatch. It's like I want to play the best players in Overwatch. When I play 2K, I want to play the best players in 2K. Like, I don't know. I want to play good people. That's sort of the thing. He just wants to beat dudes up and put up good box scores. And I get that too. But just, like play fucking Cleveland tomorrow. That's what he should be doing. Anyway, your top ROI lineups according to Stokastic data. Again, no input for me, just what they're given. Vasily Micic, number 1. Seth Curry. So you're getting that Hornets value up top. Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nick Richards, Tyler Hero, Jalen Williams, Brook Lopez. That's your number 1 lineup here using all the salary. Looks good. Basically just kind of leveraging against the fact that both Charlotte and Milwaukee are missing tremendously high usage players. So that's fine. Vasily Micic again at number 2. Micic, Seth Curry, Chris Middleton again. Evan Mobley here. So for power, he'll be happy in the chat. Musa Diabate, SGA, Jalen Williams, Bam Adebayo. Have I played Marvel Rivals? I sure have. A little bit more chaotic and a little bit more, the motion doesn't feel right. But I do enjoy playing with Star-Lord because he's kind of like Reaper. I like the Scarlet Witch, just point and click. I've played it a few times. Not like locked in on it, but I have played it. Yeah, it's fun. Vasily Micic at number 3. Terry Rozier, no thank you. Aaron Wiggins, you can get him, but I don't love it. Giannis, Musa Diabate, woof. Tyler Hero, Jalen Williams, Bam Adebayo. Feel like we're kind of off the beaten path a little bit with this one, but that's it. Who do I main? Reaper and Moira would be my primary 2. Unless we're getting our ass kicked, then I'll go to Torbjorn and just do some turret bullshit. That's me. But Reaper I love. Reaper's my boy. Reaper and I are soulmates. We just want people to die. Not really. Vasily Micic at number 4. Seth Curry, Paul George, Miles Bridges. We just want to twirl around. Go, woo, look at my guns. Musa Diabate, SGA, Evan Mobley, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Vasily Micic, Seth Curry, Jimmy Butler, Jalen Williams, Nick Richards, SGA, Aaron Wiggins, Bam Adebayo. You're seeing a little bit less Giannis than I would have thought, but I think that's fair. Again, top ROI lineups. Giannis is so chalky here. He's basically like, I wouldn't say a free square. He's like a free square where there's like a tangible downside if something goes wrong there. Him leaving through an injury, the game getting out of hand, him just playing like shit. So I think these top lineups make sense. Overall in the 150 set, your highest ROI players are Nick Richards, 24% ROI for him. Musa Diabate, 18% ROI. Vasily Micic, that 15% ROI. So once again, he looks like good chalk. 4K salary too. Makes it really tough to avoid him. Cody Martin, I didn't get any of him. So, or not any, but I got only 3% Cody Martin. So I'm not there, but they are. So Stokastic, thanks Cody Martin. One of the lone plays here to have a positive ROI on the slate. Overall exposures, you're getting Vasily Micic in 90% of lineups. Giannis, you're getting in 63%. You're getting less in the field. We'll talk about that in a moment. Miles Bridges, 59%. So even though they have Miles Bridges projected much lower than I do, getting him in almost 3/5 of your lineups. So for Miles Bridges, coming in a good amount. Seth Curry, 56%. You deal on right, starting as expected. Not a surprise there. 3K minimum for him. He's just been an awful producer on the year, but you can take that shot. Seth Curry, another 3K minimum guy. You're getting less in the field, 56% compared to 71. Nick Richards, more than 3x the field here. 14% for the field compared to 51. So they agree. Getting a lot of Hornets here. So it kind of does support the main thing I was getting for my projections and exposures. Aaron Wiggins here, 40% compared to 30. So they're high in him as well. If you're not going to get the super cheap minimum price guys, you're getting Wiggins. And then Jalen Williams, you're getting 39% compared to 23. A little bit surprised to see that, but I would guess the price tag and positionality works well. And he's one of those guys that he's never going to kill you. He's going to probably give you 40 fantasy points no matter what. So I get the concept of Jalen Williams, even though he's not like a priority play. Your highest leverage players, the guys I want you to get the most of. Micic, 52% more than the field. He'll be played 37%. They want 89. I got 95. So these guys saw before, so I support that. Nick Richards, 51 compared to 14. I was at Nick Richards in half my lineups as well. Again, he should rebound well for the most part. Will certainly look a lot better if Joel Embiid's out, but no Mark Williams there. Just opens up enough opportunity for him. Price tag's a little bit lower because of having Mark Williams back in lately. Musa Diabate, the backup for Richards. A little bit harder for him to get there, but if Richards fails, Diabate gets more minutes because of foul trouble or something, that could work. He's cheap at 3,200. That's the main thing here. 6% for the field, 23% in the top 150 lineups. Jalen Williams, 23 compared to 39. Talked about him already. Again, a guy that I really find it hard to believe will fail you, even if he doesn't give you 50 to 60. Aaron Wiggins, 30% compared to 40. Miles Bridges, 49 compared to 59, gets you 9% leverage. And Hartenstein, the Sims are giving me pretty close to what I was getting with my projections, even though I definitely have some different marks. Hartenstein getting 35% compared to 26. So I'd have a bigger stand in favor of Bridges and in Hartenstein, but if you guys skim back, you can see all my sim exposure as well for my projections. Most negative leverage guys, Jeffries, I don't think he's projected for minutes. He's projected for 8 minutes. He's been producing well, 0.92 fantasy points per minute. If you see the starters get wiped off the court, Jeffries would be better, but they still have enough bodies for Charlotte. Like you have 10 guys projected to get minutes today, so it's not really like a limited rotation in the way you'd really want for a guy like Jeffries to get there. If you have a gut feel for him, you can play him, but he only projects for 6 fantasy points for me. He's like not a high usage guy. He hasn't been even great in a small sample size yet, so I wouldn't be there. But follow your heart. It's a small enough slate where, especially if you're playing a 20 max, play a lineup with him if you want. It just doesn't project that well because the minutes aren't there. Your most negative leverage guys, they want you to get a lot less of Bobby Portis, 9% compared to the field's 27, so 1/3 of the exposure there. Delon Wright, they want you to get half of, even though he is going to be the starter there at a 3K minimum salary. He's been producing really terribly on the year. Really not like Delon Wright at all, which is kind of crazy. Like you used to be one of those guys who could plug in anywhere, kind of like a DeAnthony Melton, where he just gives you 1 fantasy point per minute in any situation. Now, as I mentioned, he's been like about a 0.6 or less guy this year. So certainly possible that could flip around a little bit today, but that much ownership, they want you to get less, and I'm on the same page with my projections. Joel Embiid getting 19% compared to 35, so a big anti-stand on Joel Embiid, even though they haven't better projected than I do, which is kind of weird to see. Seth Curry getting him less, 56% compared to 71. Still in more than half the lineups, though, so Seth Curry, I think you're getting less there, but they want you to try other value pieces instead because Seth Curry doesn't look great. I think relative to the projections here, you're seeing that Delon Wright and Seth Curry both involved to a certain extent. They definitely favor Seth Curry and also think that Seth Curry is not like a lock play by any stretch. So keep that in mind if you're just going to jam into 2, 3K min guys and make your day. Do that for some lineups, I think. Just jam in Delon Wright and Seth Curry, see what you get around it. But like, don't do it for every lineup because it doesn't look like a good ROI play technically. He did fall off. He really did. I don't know why, too, because like there's been opportunity for Milwaukee, too, when he's been out there. But he's kind of gotten worse each stop, too. Like he was on Miami last, I believe, and he just like didn't do a whole lot there sometimes. Had like 1 or 2 good games for the most part, which is kind of out there. Sometimes these guys settle into a role, but it's weird for him because like he's got kind of the opposite way of an Elfrid Payton, where Elfrid Payton, like he came back in for the Pelicans and was like the best version of Elfrid Payton ever. Delon Wright's not like the worst version of Delon Wright, where he's playing okay defense, but just doesn't contribute any stats. Giannis, you're getting less in the field on him, 63% compared to 75. So that was my stand. Stokastic backs me up on that, it seems. Lou Dort, 17% compared to 9. AJ Green, 12% compared to 4. So you're getting much less of these guys here. These are your lowest leverage or your least leveraged guys getting the least of relative to the field. All right, splash plays for the day, guys, based on my data. Before we do that, just one ask more rather. Please do hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. We got 130 of you beautiful people watching, and please show some love here. I'm just one guy running 2 channels for the NFL and NBA. I do the best I can to show you guys the products, the tools, to make my own projections, to originate some takes for you every day for no matter what I'm doing on content here. So please show some love. Hit the like button, subscribe here. We're moving in the right direction. We're trying to get to that first 500 subs in just our first 2 months here. That's the goal. Again, not really promoting anywhere besides just showing up and doing the work here every Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. And that is a promise. Check out our sponsors too before I give out the splash plays of the day. Underdog, $1,000 of bonus cash. Link in the description down there if you want to get some pick'ems or best ball lineups going. Stokastic, 15% off. Link in the description for that. All their data, all their tools. That all comes for 15% off. Even if you got the package with every sim included, that'd be 15% off. And please do get that package. Unabated, $30 off. Best betting tools out there you'll find as well. Simulated off the custom projections. Even if you use the projections just for your DFS lineups, you're going to do something interesting with that. So check it out for yourself. Lots of ways to use Unabated to get better and make more money in your DFS process. And yeah, that's that. All right. Splash plays. It's got to be Miles Bridges and Vasilij Micic. I think those are the guys I'm getting the most. Very easy to afford Giannis. Trying to pivot around that, I think it's a logical move. I don't really have a great answer to how to get around Giannis if you don't play him. I think you're just talking about playing some more Embiid, some more SGA in particular. But really, you're just kind of getting some different looks without Giannis. So I would try some lineups without Giannis as well, even though he's on the thumbnail. He's going to probably put up 60 fantasy points. But like if somebody out there, if you get a cheap guy, you get Bridges putting up 55, and then you get Embiid putting up 50, and I don't know, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, somehow Embiid fails. Those guys put up 50. Like, there's some way that you can have Giannis not make it. So I think trying some lineups without Giannis, because it's so easy to get Giannis in on this kind of slate, that does have some value, but still play some good amount of Giannis. Like, 60% feels about right, whatever you're putting in. But that's that, guys. Checking the chats one more time here. Thank you for extra cutie here. That's always the cutest. Spagsy, love you. I appreciate it. Love you guys too. Appreciate you guys being here as always. Paul George going to look a lot better if Embiid's out. Looks okay now. I'm going to get more than Tyrese Maxey, but not a core play. If Embiid's out, though, Maxey and George, you're going to want to jam them in. But that's the slate here, guys. I may be back on the NFL channel tomorrow for the Saturday NFL slate. Not sure. Depends if I wake up and my throat's worse or not. We'll see how that goes. But tune in for that one. Of course, every Monday to Friday here, 4 p.m., as I mentioned. Gamble responsibly, even though it is always money time here. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. I'll be back, not back tomorrow, back on Monday here with more. Back tomorrow and Sunday on the Splash Play NFL channel. Check that out. I'll see you guys on one of them. So, hey, enjoy your days. Merry Christmas if I don't see you again before that, and good luck. Bye-bye.